People who attended their high school reunion. What was the biggest surprise? Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy. Thanks. Story 1. The biggest surprise anytime I catch up with people I grew up with is finding out their career. The golden child is now in prison for sexual assault. The weirdo became a DJ and does shows at nightclubs. The nerdy DNANP. The kid now owns and operates an outdoor shooting range and is one of the largest ammunition suppliers in the area. She was also really catty, embodying a lot of the mean girl stereotypes. Talking with her at the reunion, it turned out that she was very insecure and had a very tenuous home life for which she was compensating, and now she is extremely kind, full of gratitude, and just really down to earth. I love seeing that sort of change in people. Story 3. The last I ever heard of my high school reunion was in an alumni newsletter. I was listed as missing with a request for anyone who knew how to contact me to contact the alumni organization. The newsletter was sent to my house. I'm trying not to take it personally. Story 4. Recently went to my 40th. A bunch of old people showed up. Story 5. The reunion itself. My wife was down in the state south of us for training and got into an accident. I went down and got things sorted with her so she was good and went back to what she was doing, and I drove back north. It was a Friday and I was driving through my hometown and figured I would take my mother out to a restaurant we used to both really like going to. As we were eating, an old friend from high school walked through, waved and headed into the back. Then another, and another, and another. Just as I was about to get up and go see what was going on, an old girlfriend and later good friend walked in, saw me and came up to talk for a bit. Then she asked if we should head back there, which confused me. Turns out I made it to the 10th year reunion for my class without knowing that I was at the 10th year reunion for my class. I finished my dinner with my mom, let her take my car home, I would catch a ride, and had a good night at the reunion. I didn't know to expect. Story 7. That my friend was still alive and he was equally surprised that I was. We got into drugs together right after HS. We ended up being so fucked up that one night we robbed each other. He sold me a bag of actual grass and I gave him $1 instead of a 20, and we both ran in opposite directions and never spoke again. Friendship ended. No one even confronted the other. 10 years later at my HS reunion I see him sitting in the corner. We were both sober and looking great. I walk over to him and first thing he says to me was, "OMG, I thought you'd be dead," and I said the same thing back to him. We talked the rest of the night. He didn't even remember why we stopped talking in the first place, just that we were both in a very dark place when we parted ways, lol. Anyway, we both felt it best we leave the friendship there and did not exchange numbers or anything, but I'm glad he's alive. Everyone remembered me because I was the freak in high school, and people kept coming up to me and being like, "Science forbid, it's so great to see you." And I kept having to run to the wall where they'd plastered blown up yearbook photos to figure out who the fuck anybody was. Asterisk asterisk, the Ivy League bound people you were sure would be CEOs one day ended up dropping out of college, having normal middle class lives, jobs and marriages, and just being happy as average. The people you were sure would end up like Wooderson from school days, https://itim.com/vi/7ddpzdybsgi/max raised default. JPG turned out to get master's degrees and even PhDs in one case, and now work in either government or aerospace. The guy who fought to get into West Point ended up doing his required 4 years and then leaving the armed services. One guy ended up becoming a semi-successful author, and nobody saw that coming. Two committed suicide, and many asked why. He seemed to have everything going for him. The girl who got pregnant at 16, who you were sure was destined for a life of struggle, ended up landing a great career and retiring early. And her kids turned out to be great people who any parent would be proud of. The people you were sure would never lose contact with their friend group vanished as if they never existed. The people who had to ask yourself, "I don't recall that name at all, did they graduate in my class?" are now friends with 75% of the class on Facebook and active. The athletes, boys and girls, are now anything but athletes, overweight and frumpy. The frumpy dumpy ones now are rock climbers and hike the entirety of the Appalachian Trail. Asterisk asterisk, it just goes to show. Asterisk asterisk, who you are on graduation day is absolutely not who you will become in 3, 5, 10, or 30 years. The future is yet unwritten, and the only thing stopping you from change is yourself. Story 11. 20-year reunion. How many people seemed like they wanted to get to know me better in high school? When I was in high school, I felt like a total social pariah and I would only approach people I thought were also at the bottom of the social food chain. It turns out, a lot of pretty cool people would have likely been my friends if I had given them a chance and been more open to it. Many people mentioned that they thought about being friends or better friends with me but weren't quite sure why it didn't happen. Also, at the reunion, I was much more extroverted and confident and I realized a lot of the people I thought were popular snobs were very cool people. Back in high school, it's not like those folks were begging me to hang out and I said no, but I was definitely defensive because I didn't want to get rejected. This means that I might have missed out on having not only more friends, but better ones because picking from the lowest rung of the ladder often meant I was dealing with people who had a lot of emotional problems. I went there just for shits and giggles and, where do I even begin? The biggest nerd in the whole year turned out into this huge egotistical douchebag. The school's most sociable girl became a nurse. The school gang of bad boys were 2 dead, 1 car crash, 1 drug overdose, 1 committed suicide, 1 worked as a tech store, 1 worked 2 jobs because he was paid child support to 3 women. Remember, kids, condoms are a good thing. 1 actually turned his life around and got a bachelor's degree in English and was a middle school English teacher, and the last one was working for his dad because he got kicked out of uni. My classmate, who many people thought was an asocial and stuck-up bitch, bloomed into a beautiful woman who's married with 2 kids. We had a long talk and she said that she appeared asocial because our classmates were morons true and she had no intention to talk to them. Story 14. Everyone looked old. Then I realized I was old. Story 15. The people who made fun of me for my weight were now fat, divorced, and barely making it. I lost weight in college, got married to a wonderful man, and have great kids. And in the end they thought they were still better than me. I guess I found irony. Story 16. My 7th grade crush, the smartest girl in class, was still single, and when I asked her what she likes to do for fun in Chicago, she said, party. We were 48 years old. Story 17. At some point of our 10Y reunion I asked the girl I had a crush on back in 8th grade if she knew that I had a crush on her. I just thought it was fun talking about that as adults. Turns out she texted me several times the next days. We met again and now, almost 6 years later, we're engaged for 2 years, but didn't marry yet. We have a house, a child, 2nd child on the way, and everything is great. Not what I expected back then. I guess they forgot or I wasn't invited. That was surprising because the student government was on top of everything during high school. Story 20. That I married the person I hooked up with. Story 21. How incredibly differently have people aged. Story 22. I have a good story. When we were in school, one of the popular, attractive girls had her birthday party at the cinema and invited me. I wasn't really a loser, just not popular, so I was pretty stoked to be invited. I think the movie was rated for adults, and me and the short kid weren't allowed, and I think my game face mustn't have been good enough, because I was average height for my age and younger looking. Shorter guys had gotten in. Me and the short kid sat in a different movie and then went home. To make matters worse, I completely embarrassed myself by buying the girl chocolates and bringing them, wrapped, to the movies. I did this partially because I thought she was pretty, and partly because that's what I was brought up to do. Nobody else bought her a present. So, not only did I look like an idiot giving her a present in front of everyone, I didn't even get into the movie. A few people asked where I was afterward and I couldn't lie. Word got around. I was embarrassed. Anyway, a few days after this girl's birthday, in pay class, she came up to talk to me and thanked me again, and said she was still enjoying the chocolates. I brushed her off, because I was still super embarrassed, and part of me thought I would gain some coolness points if I pretended it was no big deal, or I didn't even remember, or some such thing. Anyway, just before the reunion, we did a tour of our old school grounds. When this girl, now very much a woman, saw me, she came up, heavily pregnant, and still smoke show and gave me a huge, long hug. I don't think I spoke to her even during high school, let alone after. We didn't really talk much at the reunion. She gave birth a few days later. Since the reunion, I have wondered if she really was touched by my getting her a gift, and maybe something could have eventuated. Of course, she could have just been being polite. The weirdest part, though, was getting drunk with the 2 guys I'd started school with, and long since parted ways with. Story 24. My husband and I graduated from high school together. This year will be our 20th reunion. We attended our 10th reunion 10 years ago and it reminded me why I hated high school so much to begin with, lol. First of all, the people in charge of planning it threw out the words professional networking opportunity 1,000 times before the event. If by networking, they meant everyone getting shit-faced and reverting back to 10-year-old high school drama, then they hit the nail on the head. I used to be on Facebook, and I would read these people's posts and think, wow, they have these perfect, amazing lives. The night of the reunion, after the liquor was flowing and people let their masks slip, I realized how phony their internet personas were and that some of them had some serious problems going on in life. That whole time, I had been being completely authentic on my social media like a sucker. The next morning, I deleted my accounts and never went back. I learned a valuable lesson that we are all going through the ups and downs of life. I just would prefer not to be inundated with everyone else's all the time and would like to keep my own to myself. I recently got an email for the 20th with a questionnaire about where it should be held. I tried to make the case for one of our local casinos because A, I like it there, B, my husband and I can book a hotel room and not worry about the drive home after, and most importantly, C, if I'm not feeling the vibe with my old classmates, I can go gamble or see a show or a number of other things. Story 26. My 10-year reunion was held at a bar. It was all the same people at the bar as it was every weekend, but this time they were wearing nicer clothes. Story 27. The stuck-up, prettiest girl came over and shot the shit with me about my Facebook posts. 1980 me would have fainted, but she was so nice and still looked amazing. Story 28. The only high school reunion I attended was my 50th. I was surprised that people remembered things I'd done with amazing detail specificity. Story 29. Real estate agents. So many real estate agents. Story 30. I got a lot of apologies from bullies. In high school I was kind of weird and insecure. Definitely didn't have any direction, purpose, or confidence. By the time I went to my 5-year or 6-year reunion, I forget which, I'd run and held office, been covered in the major local newspaper, and was dating a really hot woman. I remember walking in and having all these guys who thought I was a dweeb and who bullied me, and they all basically said the same thing. Damn, man, you've grown.